Welcome to another episode of British Weightlifting Podcast. Have you ever wondered what it takes to go from curious beginner to running your own gym? Yazmin did just that, and she's here to tell us how.
I think that's what kept me hooked. Like, I just wanted to go every single day and see how much more weight I could lift.
In this episode, we talk about everything that makes weightlifting more than just lifting weights.
No one else was training twice a day and only doing that. So when I competed, I went to a competition and was surrounded by people doing the exact same thing as me, and we could relate to each other.
The mental toughness, the power of community, and the thrill of coaching others.
Teach them everything from where to grip the bar, what a hook grip is, why the plates are colored in a certain way, like all these minimalistic, like fundamentals of weightlifting is so nice. Like, I really enjoy it. It's my favorite audience to teach.
And here's the heads up. Our early Black Friday sale is live now. All British weightlifting courses, yes, the one that helped Yazmin to get where she is, are 20% off. Whether you want to coach, compete, or just learn something new. Head to britishweightlifting.org and take the first step. If you're into the mindset or just a good story, you'll want to stick around for this one. Let's get started.
So what was it about weightlifting that you wanted to get involved in your university days? Was it kind of like the community or like the challenge of it? What drew you to it?
So to be honest, I wasn't even sure what weightlifting was at that point. So initially what drew me in was the feeling of being strong and doing something that made me feel super strong. And it gave me time away from lectures, time away from school, and it was all incredibly new to me. So the concept of weightlifting as a sport, it being available locally, like all of it was incredibly new to me. But just being able to have something that made me feel super strong, I think that's what kept me hooked. Like, I just wanted to go every single day and see how much more weight I could lift, how much better I could perform a lift technique-wise. So I think that's what drew me in initially.
Yeah, that's so cool to see where you've come now, to obviously to that point there. Where were you first exposed to it? Like, where did you first see it and then go, that's exactly what I want to do?
Well, initially I went to a functional fitness gym. So a gym that offered functional fitness training and obviously had a little bit of elements of weightlifting as well.
Yeah.
So that's how I was introduced to it. And then eventually the coaches there could see that I was mostly involving myself in only the weightlifting parts of workouts or attending the days that involved weightlifting only. And they were like, listen, we can see what you're doing. Do you know that this is a sport and you can actually go somewhere else and do this on its own? And I had no idea. Like I said, I was not aware this was available. And so they put me in contact with the association locally, and I started training there. And that's how I got to know the sport and eventually started to train weightlifting on its own.
That's amazing. That's some really good coaches that actually like putting you on the right pathway to be where you got to today. And then kind of like speaking of where you are today and where you've been, in terms of like the competitions that you've attended, obviously the biggest ones that are available to you in the sport, what is it that you kind of miss from like competing at that level? Is there anything that like you're like, I wish I could still do that?
To be honest, the biggest, like the thing I miss the most is just the people I used to compete with. I think just having people around me that were living the exact same life as me. And I think this is very hard to understand unless you're in this situation. I was training I was training for something that no one else was really training for. So when I was training full time, I was training to go to the Olympic Games. I was going abroad a lot on training camps and doing it full time, which no one else was doing locally. No one else was training twice a day and only doing that. So when I competed, I went to a competition and was surrounded by people doing the exact same thing as me, and we could relate to each other. And they could understand what I was going through and I could understand what they were going through. And I've made friends at competitions that I will cherish for the rest of my life, because we had those experiences together and we had an understanding that I don't think we'll have with anyone else ever.
Yeah, that little sense of community.
Yeah.
So from the back of that then, just moving on to where you are kind of in your life now, you've obviously opened up your gym, which is incredible, and looks like a really cool space when I see it all over Instagram. One day I'll visit it. What inspired you to create that space? And I'm sure that you do like your functional fitness side of things in there as well, which is pretty cool. What was it what was the driving for you to do that?
So I always said that, I had not the smoothest journey, just because I started a bit later. I wasn't entirely sure what I was doing. I was the first to do a lot of things in the sport. So I always said that I would love to create an environment where I can share all this knowledge, because I've been through a lot and I've done a lot, and I want to be able to share all of that with as many people as possible in the sport that I have grown to absolutely love. And I knew that I will find so many other people that will love the sport as much as I do. And to be able to share all of that knowledge would really make my life complete. And I always say this. And in the past year, so I've owned this gym for almost a year now. On the 1st of December, it will be a year. The weightlifting community at my gym has increased so much. And it comes from just the weightlifting coaches at the gym being so passionate about what we're doing. And yes, the functional fitness side has steadily grown as well. But to see such a massive weightlifting community increase at the gym has been really special to me.
That's so lovely to see. I bet that's probably one of your favourite parts as well, isn't it? Seeing more and more people get involved. And I guess you have like a range of like different abilities that come into the gym, people that have never done it before, and then obviously seasoned kind of like athletes.
Yeah. So, I mean, at the moment I've started off with the audience that were already there, because this was an ongoing gym. So I just took over last year. So I had an audience already there. But now we're seeing a bit of a younger audience, so up and coming, that wants to do this sport.
Yeah.
And just seeing the different abilities, like you're saying, has been really nice. It's nice to see people who have been doing weightlifting for a while and are willing to relearn properly. We have the people who have never done it in their life, have no idea what a snatch and clean and jerk is, and wants to start, building that knowledge. And the mix of abilities is fun, especially from a coaching perspective. I actually started a weightlifting for beginners course very recently. And I was having a discussion with the rest of the coaches, and I told them how that class is my absolute favorite class to teach. Not because I don't love teaching everyone else, but to teach an absolute beginner who doesn't even know what a snatch is, has never even heard of it, or maybe just saw it once, on a video, to teach them everything from where to grip the bar, what a hook grip is, why the plates are colored in a certain way, like all these minimalistic, like fundamentals of weightlifting is so nice. Like I really enjoy it. It's my favorite audience to teach, I think, personally.
Yeah, watching their progression must be so good to watch. That's incredible. You mentioned having some really passionate coaches, which is obviously a great foundation to have at such a cool gym. In terms of the BWL course that you recently did with us, how has that maybe changed your way or their way of like coaching, the dynamics of it, and like the facilitation of like the sessions that you run?
Yeah, so I always say the coaches at the gym, the coaches at my gym are the best. They're the absolute best. And I believe that genuinely. I don't say that because I think that, I want to make it seem like my gym is the best. I genuinely believe in this team of coaches, and they constantly want to improve. Just like me, I constantly want to improve my abilities as a coach. And with the BWL weightlifting course, everyone just jumped on board. When I said, listen, guys, I'm going to be doing a weightlifting course, just, to get the proper qualifications, improve my knowledge. Everyone was like, yes, I'm in. I want to do this as well. And it has really helped us. So first of all, the fact that we all did it together at the same time really helped because we're all sharing ideas, getting opinions about things that we've read on the course, things that we've heard when we did the in-person course with the coach, with the BWL coach here in Malta as well. And yes, it's just so nice to get new perspectives. So it doesn't matter how much knowledge you think you have. You know, I went all the way up to the Olympic Games. You would think that I think I know everything. Every time I listen to something new about the fundamentals, even little things like how to warm up, you know, what warm up to give to a class of weightlifting, things I would have never thought of. It's been really nice to be able to relearn and gain new perspective. I think for myself and the rest of the team, that was the most fun part of this course.
Yeah, I'm really glad you said that. It's great to know that people still want to come on these courses, like you say, someone like yourself that's gone up to the high level that you did and still feel like there's still something to learn. Learning never stops, essentially, does it? But that's really cool. I'm just going to do a quick shout out to Mark that obviously went over to Malta.
He was great. We loved him, and I think you could see that, and I think he enjoyed it even more because he could see how, you know, like on board we were. We were really like loving every second of it. You know, in the beginning, whenever you do a course, you always think, let's just get this, you know, done with. You know, we're gonna attend and we're gonna learn something new and we'll get it over and done with to get to our qualifications. This was not that at all. We were, you know, literally so interested from the very beginning till the very end, and we just shared. It just went on longer than it should have as well because we kept on sharing our own experiences, our own opinions, and it was such a great opportunity for everyone to learn from each other.
Yeah, oh, that's so good. That's so good to hear. In terms of like possibly just thinking to the content you've learned online, or whether that be the in-person part, what do you think was the most valuable thing that you've learned and taken away from the course? Was it something around like technical models or kind of like effective communication or anything like that?
So I think for me personally, a lot of the things that are in the course, I would have obviously come across at some point in my life, but adding that structure to it. So adding like a list of how to approach your coaching. So at the moment, before I did the BWL coaching, I had an idea of how to coach, but this added structure to it. So I now approach a session knowing that I will try this first, then this, then this, and then I'll do this and this. It just added a little bit more of like organization in how I coach. And that makes me even more confident in approaching a coaching session, approaching a class. So I think that was, for me, the best part of this course, because it does that in every aspect as well, in terms of the technical model and in terms of even like the personal relationship between coach and athlete, how to approach that. So in every aspect, it just adds structure. I think for me, that was like my favorite part of it, is added structure.
Yeah, amazing. And just for context, you completed your level 1 and your level 2 coaching weightlifting. And you are now working on your level 3 diploma, right?
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Yes. Just starting.
Yeah, that's amazing. Just kind of going back to your athlete days, and well, I suppose even now, is there ever a rule in weightlifting? This is always a controversial question. Is there ever a rule in weightlifting that you would have thought of now or back then when you were lifting that you would like to either get rid of or change?
A rule in weightlifting?
Yeah.
This is controversial because I feel like everyone would say like the press out rule. Yeah. To be honest, I was never like don't get me wrong, when there's like a minor press out and the jury changes this lift into a no lift, it does anger you. But I was never completely against press outs because I think it's what makes weightlifting different to other sports. Like we're very technical and it's a very clean lift type sport. So I was never fully against it. I don't know if I've never actually thought about it, to be honest. Off the top of my head, I don't think there is a rule that I would change.
You like it as it is?
Yeah, maybe like body weights. Maybe make it a bit more flexible with the body weight. Maybe give us more time between weigh-in and competition, because that was always the biggest struggle for me.
Yeah, I bet actually. That is quite one of the difficult things, right, isn't it? In terms, actually, just on that, in terms of when you weighed in and then you obviously had time to eat and refuel before you then lifted, was there ever anything like in a lunchbox or a staple that you had that you ate immediately after you weighed in?
I did. And it was always like a hot topic because I thought it was like a really normal meal. And apparently it isn't. Because I always had like boiled egg whites covered in peanut butter. And I love
I've
this was
never
my
had it before.
go-to. This was my go-to for competitions breakfast, like especially before a competition.
Yeah.
And I remember someone seeing this once. I was like, "What are you eating?" I said, "Well, it's egg whites and peanut butter. It's delicious." Apparently, it's like a bit controversial, but it's great. I would recommend it.
I mean, it worked, didn't it, for you? But I don't think left it. I'm sure you'll have a couple of people trying it now and seeing how they get on after
Yeah.
waiting. And then they can credit it to you when they get the PBs. Um, Next question. If you could invite anyone, living or not, to attend your gym for a class, who would you invite?
Oh, this is such a tough
Tough
question.
question. Tough question.
Um,
Be an athlete or someone that's not an athlete, weightlifter or sprinter, anyone.
so I've been incredibly lucky to already have some of the best weightlifters in the world attend the gym in Malta. But the person I started lifting because of was Matty Rogers, the USA lifter, Matty Rogers. And I do credit, like, honestly, me sticking to the sport in the beginning to her because she was like my number one inspiration. Like, I have no shame in saying I used to stalk her Instagram like crazy to see if any new content is on. And, every time she put up a video, I wanted to be exactly like her. So if I could get her to attend the gym and lift in my gym, it would just be like a full circle. It would make my life complete.
When did you first see her? Like, where was it when you saw her and you was like, this is what I want to be like?
So when I started lifting, so I was 22 when I started lifting. I'm 31 now. So this is 9 years ago. I was just like scrolling, like used to look for hashtags. And I remember looking for like weightlifting to see like what's the weightlifting world like. And I came across Matty Rogers. At the time, I think female weightlifting was about to get really big as well. It was already a big sport for women, but it was about to get quite, much bigger than it was before. And Matty was the most followed, I think she might still be, but she was like the most followed female weightlifter at the time. And I remember thinking, I had this different idea of female weightlifting, and she really just like completely changed my perception. And she was really vocal about her training. She was really vocal about her ups and downs in her journey. She posted regularly, so it made me feel like I'm training alongside her. And she was just genuinely such a inspiration for myself, and I'm sure so many other female weightlifters would agree. She was like the main inspiration for most of us back then, and still is. And it's quite cool that we actually went to the Olympics, the same Olympic Games together. It was her first Olympics as well, so I think that was very special. I remember seeing her and thinking, "Oh my."
That's amazing. We love having like strong women as kind of like someone to look up to, don't we? Probably one of the greatest things about Instagram now is the fact that you really exhibit quite a lot, aren't you? And I'm sure there'll be quite a lot of people listening to this that probably feel the same way about you and will start their journey from watching your videos, that's pretty cool to think about, actually, isn't it?
It will never feel. I would never get used to that. Like whenever someone says that they started lifting because of me or in some way I've inspired or motivated them, it genuinely fills my heart so much because I know how much Matty meant to me. So to think that I am even a fraction of that to someone else is surreal.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Good question, this next one. Something that you might want to think about, but If every weightlifter had their own walkout song when they were coming out to lift, would there be a specific one that you would like? What would it be?
I don't know. My song, like my playlist at the gym, everyone hates it. They hate it. When I have access to this, like to the speaker,
Yeah.
I'm so sad because I'm either playing Disney songs or like country, and it's like it's not consistent at all. But I think if I would have a song like weightlifting song, like when I'm about to lift,
Yeah.
it would probably be the Hercules song. It's the song I listen to like before the Olympic Games obsessively. It's called Go the Distance.
Yeah.
Because it talks about, like going the distance.
Yeah.
That's really like an inspiring song. And
Yeah.
it starts and it's like really musically inspiring. So I think that would be my song.
That's really funny you say that. My weightlifting coach Luke always plays the song from Moana before he tries to go for a pick. So Disney, I think, is actually quite a favourite within the weightlifting community.
It makes sense. It's always inspiring. Every Disney movie is inspiring and motivational in some way, so it just makes sense.
It absolutely is. Moving on to kind of like where you are in your gym at the minute, so going back a little bit. Kind of like how are you finding teaching, or just like sharing your knowledge from what you've learned, obviously as an athlete, then going into your developing your education at the minute. Do you feel like constantly learning, as you said, you are, is always going to make you like a better gym owner, especially alongside the coaches that you're working with?
100%. So I always credit my coaching techniques and my coaching knowledge to being coached by so many different coaches in my career. So I've been super lucky to have been coached by several international coaches as well as local coaches. So I have all this knowledge from so many people and I'm able to use it in a certain way. Let's say I have an athlete and I give them a cue. And the way I say this cue doesn't work. And then I think of a different perspective that I've learned from a different coach. And I try to give that cue in that way. So essentially, I'm saying the same thing, but in different ways that I've been taught. Mm-hmm. And you can see that these differences can affect different athletes differently. So I'm lucky to have all this different knowledge from different coaches. But now the BWL course, like I said, has added structure to that. Mm-hmm. So I've had all this information, and I think now I'm also able to structure this and organize it a little bit better. So I think that's what gives me the upper hand in coaching, is that I've been lucky enough to have so many different coaches give me their knowledge, including the BWL coaching course. It's just all of it together can really add to the value in coaching.
Yeah, that's amazing. Going into a little bit of a deep one, we often think strength is like a physical aspect, but what kind of, during your journey of weightlifting, has it taught you anything about being stronger in like other parts of life other than just being in the gym?
Yeah, 100%. I always say that weightlifting for me has been equally a physical sport, but equally a mental sport. So it's been like equal for me, not one more than the other. You can be the strongest person physically if you're not mentally 100% there, like really taking care of your mental health, you won't be able to make it very far in the sport. In any sports really, but obviously I can only talk about weightlifting. I have had to deal obviously with several aspects of mental health in my journey. And it's really taught me a lot about not just the mental health, but also patience, because you need so much patience for weightlifting. And also to be very forgiving with myself, because you do your best and it doesn't always go your way. And I think you need to be very forgiving with yourself in the sport.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think it's one of the really important things that people should talk about, especially high level in sport.
I have a tattoo here that's a barbell with a brain and the heart.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I think you need like both aspects. You need the passion and the heart for it, but you also need to be like 100% there taking care of your mental health, and just taking care of yourself mentally as well to properly lift that bar.
That's amazing. When did you get that, if you don't mind me asking? Was that a recent?
I got that after, I think it was after Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, my second Commonwealth Games. I think it was either that or after Europeans in 2022.
Right, okay.
It was around that time. It was in 2022 for sure. But yes, I was sketching a lot back then when I go abroad to train or abroad to compete. You have a lot of time on your hands, so I was sketching a lot, and I sketched this barbell with a brain and a heart, and I just thought this is actually a really cool tattoo idea. Yeah,
that's awesome. Going to talk about like weightlifting in Malta and the sport itself, where do you kind of see that going? Is that something that you're interested in building and potentially, looking at maybe building athletes to an elite level like yourself? Is that something that you would want to do?
Of course, definitely. I mean, weightlifting in Malta now has skyrocketed. We have some incredible young lifters who are doing immense things on the international platform. To be able to help coach someone from a beginner's level to a competitive level would be really nice. It would definitely one of my goals. I have managed to be able to have the pleasure to coach some older athletes to the national stage and also international stage. But I think to be able to coach someone from the foundations, like from the beginner level to a competitive level, it's definitely my goal. Definitely.
That'd be really cool, wouldn't it? That would be really cool. Yeah. I've got a couple of quick fire questions for you, so you don't need to think too much about it. If you could only do one lift for the rest of your life, snatch, clean, and jerk, which one would you do? Which one would you pick?
Clean and jerk for someone.
All day, every
relationship with snatch.
I don't think many people do. I'm doing. Lots of people do. What's one thing from your Olympic experience you wish you could feel or you wish everyone else would feel or see for themselves?
I think just walking onto that platform, like walking onto the Olympic platform, is a feeling I will never, ever forget. It's the perfect mix of absolutely terrified and absolutely the most proud I've ever felt. It was just overwhelming amount of emotions. I wish everyone could experience that at least once in their life.
It must have been incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. Next one. If you could ban one thing from gyms forever, whether it's a habit, a song, maybe, or an exercise, what would that be?
I think, well, I have two versions. So as an athlete, I would ban front squats forever. Like I hate them so much. And as a gym owner, I would ban chalk buckets, but keep it just for myself. But I would ban chalk buckets because the chalk just gets everywhere all the time.
I am the worst person for using too much chalk. So yeah, I can kind of relate. If someone walked into your gym, trying a weightlifting session, wasn't sure it was for them, is there like a thing that you would say to them just to kind of put them at ease and get them through the session and hopefully, obviously, that they enjoy it? Is there anything that you would like say, like a prompt or any words of encouragement?
What was the first part of the question? Sorry, I didn't understand the first part.
If someone walked into your gym and they were attending one of your weightlifting sessions and they weren't sure that weightlifting was for them after like 10 minutes into the class, is there anything that you would say to them to like put them at ease and help them enjoy the session?
So I think a lot of people would not be enjoying a session because they see how complicated it is and how like elaborate the movement is, and they get very overwhelmed. And I always try to simplify and break the movement down, just as we learn in the BWL courses as well. You break the movements down to much simpler, and you try to teach them very small aspects of a lift, and that grasps their attention again, and they feel successful at doing it. And I think that's the best way to go about it. Just simplify and make sure that people don't feel overwhelmed when they're trying weightlifting, because it is a very overwhelming sport. So slowly, feed them the lifts and the parts of the lift so that they don't feel so overwhelmed.
Perfect. Yeah, that sounds lovely. I see you on Instagram. Obviously, I follow you. Doing lots of different things, working with lots of amazing brands, and like it's really cool what you do. Think the question that I have is what's like next on the horizon for Yaz? Like, you don't have to obviously spill any trade secrets, but what's the next big thing that you're looking forward to or working on that you can obviously let us all know?
So, yes, I'm the type of person who like will never rest. Like I'm always trying to see like what the next step is. And like you said, I've been lucky enough to experience so many like amazing things in an athletic career, then on content, like on Instagram, and now as a gym owner. At the moment, my plans are to, bring all of these together. So in terms of my athletic career, the brands that I work with, and the gym, and just expand on them. So try to make everything that I'm doing just bigger and better, and as a source to provide for other athletes as well.
That sounds cool. That sounds really cool. So this is a nice one probably to end on. In terms of anybody looking to take their first steps into Olympic weightlifting, whether they've touched a barbell before, have never even possibly ever walked into a gym before, or has done like CrossFit and is moving across anything, what would your advice be to anyone that is starting the sport of weightlifting and just wants to give it a go?
So I think more than anything, you just need a good coach. You need someone who's going to guide you in the right direction, be there to help you improve on your technique, and be there to provide adequate programming so that you can see the improvements that you want to see. I think when you're doing weightlifting, you have to understand that it's not a solo, so it is an individual sport, but you're going to need someone there to guide you. And it's even better if you have athletes with you who are, training alongside you to keep you motivated. Just accept the help, ask for the help, and work as a team. And that's, I think, the best way to find your improvement eventually.
Brilliant. And just for people listening, we do have a find a club finder on our website if you are looking for a weightlifting club that is accessible to everyone. And yeah, thanks so much, Yaz. I guess it's probably just a couple of minutes if you've got anything that you want to say about the courses, or if anybody, is thinking or sitting on the fence about doing them. Is there anything that you would like to just share just to say, do it, go and start your coaching journey?
Yes, I mean, like I said, I have been through a lot in weightlifting. I've learned a lot from so many people. I think it's so important to, especially if you're looking into becoming a weightlifting coach, to sit down and go through a course like BWL, a weightlifting course, to add that structure into your coaching, and obviously get the certificate and qualification to back it up. I think it's the best way to go about becoming a better coach.
Yeah. Well, thank you very, very much. This has been great. I'm out of questions, so we're all done. Thank you.
Thank you so much.